Let me speak to you directly, man to man. Right now, you're in a place where you feel her interest slipping away. Maybe she doesn't text back like she used to. Maybe her eyes don't light up when she sees you anymore. Or maybe the energy you once had together feels forced now. That feeling cuts deep, because whether we admit it or not, when a woman begins to pull away, it shakes your confidence. It makes you want to fight harder for her attention, to explain yourself, or even beg for another chance. But deep down, you know that won't work. Here's the truth. Women don't respond to desperation. They respond to strength, presence, and calm confidence. That's where stoicism comes in. Stoicism isn't about pretending not to care. It's about learning to control what you can and letting go of what you can't. It's about holding yourself with dignity, even when your emotions are screaming at you to act out. When you embody that kind of composure, you become magnetic again. She notices when you're not chasing, when you're not begging, when you're not losing your cool. The goal here isn't just to win her back, it's to put yourself back in control of your own life. When you shift into a calm, grounded, self-assured version of yourself, something changes. She begins to feel your strength without you saying a word. Interest grows again, not because you demanded it, but because you created space for her to feel it naturally. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps to regain a woman's interest without begging. Each step is practical, simple, and rooted in stoic principles that work in the modern dating world. Listen closely. This is where you take your power back.
1. Control your emotions. The first step to regaining her interest is mastering your emotions. When a woman pulls back, your natural instinct might be to panic. You feel the urge to call her more, send long texts explaining how much you care, or demand answers about what changed. But that reaction only pushes her further away, because it shows you're being ruled by fear instead of calm strength. Think about it. Every time you let your emotions run wild, you hand over control. She sees the tension in your words, hears the insecurity in your voice, and feels the pressure you're putting on her. That energy doesn't pull her closer. It suffocates her. What she really wants is to feel your steadiness. Women are naturally drawn to men who can remain composed when things don't go their way. It's a sign of maturity, confidence, and self-control. So what does controlling your emotions look like in practice? It means when she delays her reply, you don't flood her with messages. You wait. You keep busy with your life. It means when you see her becoming distant, you don't accuse or complain. You stay calm and observe. It means when you feel jealousy creeping in, you remind yourself that insecurity only damages you, while patience gives you clarity. Here's a stoic truth. You can't control what she does, but you can always control how you respond. When you embody this mindset, you automatically separate yourself from most men. Many will crumble under pressure, but you'll stand firm. That contrast is powerful, and she will feel it. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean becoming cold or robotic. It means staying grounded. It's about showing her, through your actions, that you're not shaken by temporary setbacks. That strength creates respect, and respect is the foundation of renewed attraction. When you master this, you flip the dynamic. Instead of you chasing her to prove your worth, she starts noticing your calm presence and questioning why she pulled back in the first place. That's when interest begins to return. Not because you begged for it, but because you carried yourself like the man she can't ignore. 2. Give her space. One of the hardest things for a man to do when a woman pulls back is to give her space. Every part of you wants to close the gap. Call her, see her, remind her how good you are together. But here's the reality. Pressure kills attraction. When she senses you're trying to pull her back in against her will, she instinctively pushes further away. The more you chase, the more she runs. Giving her space doesn't mean ignoring her completely or playing childish games. It means allowing her the freedom to miss you. Attraction grows in the silence. Think about it. When you're always available, always reaching out, always trying to prove your value, she never has the chance to feel your absence. And if she doesn't feel your absence, she won't feel the pull to come back. Here's where stoicism comes into play. Instead of reacting with fear, you embrace patience. You let her breathe. You step back without resentment. You don't announce it with dramatic words like, "Fine, I'll leave you alone." You simply live your life. You let her see, through your calm silence, that you're not desperate for her attention. During this time, shift your focus to yourself. Fill your days with activities that matter to you. Your work, your health, your hobbies, your social life. When she notices that you didn't collapse just because she pulled away, it makes her curious. She begins to wonder why you're not chasing. That curiosity is the seed of renewed interest. This doesn't mean she'll come running back overnight. Sometimes giving space feels like nothing is happening. That's where most men fail. They cave in, break the silence, and ruin the effect. Don't make that mistake. Trust the process. Space creates contrast. When you're not always there, when you're not constantly reminding her of your presence, she has room to reflect. She remembers the moments she enjoyed with you. She questions whether she made the right choice pulling away. And when that realization comes, it's her who feels the urge to reconnect. The strength to give space shows her something important. You're not controlled by her actions. You're a man with his own rhythm, his own focus, his own world. That quiet independence is what reignites her respect, and respect always comes before attraction. Hold your ground. Give her the time she needs. In doing so, you allow her to feel what life is like without you. And more often than not, that's exactly what makes her want to step back into your life. 3. Focus on self-improvement. If you want her interest back, one of the most powerful moves you can make is to shift all that energy you were putting into chasing her into building yourself. When she senses you've leveled up, not through words but through action, she can't help but notice. Self-improvement is the quiet weapon that draws a woman's attention without you asking for it. Here's why it matters. Attraction isn't static. A woman is drawn to you when she sees growth, drive, and purpose. If you stay the same or slip into neediness, her interest fades. But if she sees you becoming sharper, stronger, more disciplined, her curiosity naturally returns. Women are wired to admire men who are in motion, men who are evolving. Start with your physical presence. Hit the gym, eat cleaner, work on your posture and grooming. Not only does this improve your confidence, but it sends a silent message. You value yourself. You're not waiting for her approval. You're building yourself regardless. She'll see it, even if you never mention it. Next, sharpen your mind. Read more. Learn new skills. Expand your knowledge. When you can hold deeper conversations and bring fresh perspectives, you stand out. A man who invests in his mind becomes harder to replace. Then, focus on your lifestyle. Look at the areas where you've been stagnant. Maybe you've let your career slide. Maybe you've been neglecting hobbies that once made you vibrant. Or maybe you've been living too much through her. Flip that script. Pour your time into things that give you fulfillment outside of her. Build your independence. The key is consistency. Don't make these changes just to impress her, because she'll sense if it's only an act. Do it for yourself first. When improvement becomes part of your identity, it radiates naturally. She'll feel the shift without you needing to explain. Here's the beautiful part. Even if she doesn't come back, you win. You become a stronger, more attractive man for yourself and for the life you're building. That's the stoic mindset. You focus on what you can control, which is your growth, not her reactions. And if she does circle back, she won't be returning to the same man she pulled away from. She'll be drawn to a new version of you, more confident, more focused, more grounded. That's when she reevaluates what she stands to lose and her interest begins to reignite. Self-improvement is the long game, but it's also the surest one. Women respect men who refuse to stay stagnant. So take this moment as a chance to reinvent yourself, not for her approval, but because you refuse to settle for less than the best version of you. 4. Rebuild mystery. One of the most overlooked ways to regain a woman's interest is by bringing back mystery. Think about how things felt at the start. She was curious about you, who you were, what you thought, what you did when you weren't with her. That curiosity kept her drawn in. But over time, if you've given her complete access to your every thought, every move, and every emotion, the mystery fades. When mystery disappears, so does excitement. Rebuilding mystery doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being less predictable. When she feels like she knows everything you're going to say or do, she stops paying attention. But when you create space for her to wonder again, she leans forward. So how do you do this? Start by limiting how much of your daily life you share. If you're constantly updating her on every detail, you leave nothing for her imagination. Instead, let her discover things about you naturally. Maybe she sees you out enjoying yourself with friends. Maybe she notices you've picked up a new hobby. Maybe she hears from someone else that you're excelling in your work. That indirect discovery reignites curiosity. Next, diversify your activities. Step out of routine. If she's used to you sitting at home waiting for her calls, flip the script. Be out doing things that energize you, things she might not expect. When she realizes she doesn't fully know what you're up to, that uncertainty pulls at her mind. Another layer of mystery is how you communicate. Instead of long, heavy messages, keep things shorter, more intentional. Be clear, but don't overshare. Leave room for her to ask questions. When she wonders, she invests mental energy into you. Also, don't always be available. If she thinks you'll drop everything the moment she reaches out, she'll take you for granted. But if sometimes you're busy, sometimes you respond later, sometimes you let her wait, she learns you're not glued to your phone, and that subtle unpredictability stirs interest. Here's what mystery does. It reactivates her imagination. She starts replaying old memories, comparing the you she thought she knew with the one she's now seeing. That tension between familiarity and curiosity is powerful. It draws her back in without you lifting a finger. Understand this. Women are explorers of emotion. They enjoy discovering new layers in a man. When you stop giving everything away and start holding a little back, you give her the thrill of rediscovery. And when she's curious again, interest always follows. Mystery makes her work for your attention. Instead of you chasing, she starts leaning in, asking more, wondering more, and that shift is exactly what you want. 5. Lead with confidence. When her interest fades, many men fall into the trap of hesitation. They second-guess themselves, hold back, or wait for her to make the next move. But hesitation reads as weakness, and weakness kills attraction. What reignites her curiosity and respect is when you take the lead with quiet confidence, not arrogance, not control, but the kind of calm direction that shows you know who you are. Confidence isn't about being the loudest guy in the room or forcing your opinions. It's about moving with certainty. When you make decisions without seeking her constant approval, she sees a man who trusts himself. For example, instead of asking her 10 times what she wants to do, you simply say, "Let's go here," or "I'll handle this." That energy is magnetic because it makes her feel secure. Women are drawn to men who can guide without hesitation. This doesn't mean you ignore her input. Confidence includes listening and valuing her perspective, but the key difference is you're not afraid to take responsibility. You're not looking to her to carry the weight. You're showing you can carry it yourself. That kind of strength stands out in a world full of indecision. You also lead in how you carry yourself. Your posture, your tone, your eye contact. All of it communicates confidence. A man who slouches, avoids eye contact, or fidgets sends signals of insecurity. But when you walk tall, speak with calm authority, and look her directly in the eyes, you project certainty. Even if you don't feel it at first, practice it until it becomes second nature. Confidence also shows up in how you handle setbacks. If she challenges you, tests you, or pulls away, you don't fold or lash out. You remain steady. That composure tells her you're not shaken by small storms. She realizes she can't rattle you, and that strength draws her closer. Leading with confidence extends beyond the relationship. It's about how you approach your life. Do you have goals? Are you taking steps toward them? Do you show discipline in your work, your health, and your choices? A man who leads himself naturally earns respect from others, including the woman he wants to reconnect with. Here's the effect. When you lead with confidence, she feels something she may not have felt in a while: admiration. And admiration is the bridge to attraction. A woman can't be interested in a man she doesn't admire. By standing tall, by taking initiative, by living as though you trust yourself completely, you give her reasons to look at you differently again. Don't wait for her to set the tone. Set it yourself. Let her feel that steady direction, and her interest will follow that energy. 6. Limit validation. One of the quickest ways men lose a woman's interest is by drowning her in validation. Constantly telling her how beautiful she is, how much you need her, or how much you miss her may feel like the right move, but it has the opposite effect. Why? Because when compliments are too frequent and predictable, they lose their power. Instead of lifting her interest, they make her feel like she doesn't need to work for your attention anymore. Validation isn't bad when it's earned. A well-placed compliment can go a long way. But when you give it without thought, it communicates neediness. It tells her you're trying to keep her hooked with words instead of presence. Women are incredibly perceptive. They can sense when a man is using validation as a crutch, and nothing dries up attraction faster than feeling like she has you wrapped around her finger. Here's the shift. Stop giving constant reassurance. Pull back on the endless "you're so gorgeous" texts. Stop telling her every hour how much you want to see her. Instead, let your attention be selective. Make her earn it again. This doesn't mean being cold or rude. It means being intentional. When you do give a compliment, it lands with impact because it's not expected. For example, instead of telling her she's beautiful every time you meet, say it when she's put genuine effort into herself. Or instead of flooding her with "I miss you" texts, let her wonder why you're not saying it anymore. That absence creates curiosity, and curiosity stirs attraction. Validation should also extend beyond words. If you really want to stand out, validate her with actions, not empty praise. Show her your respect through how you listen, how you pay attention when she speaks, and how you treat her with consistency. Actions carry more weight than 100 compliments. Remember, women are drawn to men who make them feel they need to win approval, not the other way around. By limiting your validation, you create that healthy tension where she starts questioning, "Does he still feel the same way about me?" That uncertainty makes her invest more of herself, because interest grows when there's something to be earned. This is where stoicism shines. You don't feed her ego just to get a reaction. You stay calm, composed, and selective with your praise. You don't let emotions dictate your words. You choose them with purpose. That restraint communicates strength, and strength is always attractive. The goal isn't to starve her of attention. It's to make your attention meaningful again. When she realizes that your approval isn't automatic, she values it more. And when she values it more, her interest naturally begins to rise. 7. Live with purpose. The final and most powerful step to regaining a woman's interest is to live with purpose. When a man drifts through life without direction, his energy feels flat, and a woman senses it. She might enjoy his company for a while, but without vision, without drive, her interest fades. On the other hand, when a man wakes up every day with something he's working toward, something bigger than her, his presence becomes magnetic. Living with purpose means having a clear direction for your life. It's about knowing what you want to build, your career, your health, your personal growth, your legacy, and moving toward it daily. When you're chasing goals that matter to you, your energy shifts. You're no longer waiting on her to give your life meaning, because you've already found it within yourself. That independence is deeply attractive. Think about it. Women admire men who are in motion, men who inspire by the way they live. If all you ever do is wait for her calls or center your days around her availability, she loses respect. But if she sees you investing time into your goals, showing discipline, and creating progress, she starts to look at you differently. She realizes she's with a man who doesn't just exist. He leads, he builds, he grows. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand or flashy. It could be advancing in your career, mastering a craft, improving your fitness, or even building a business. What matters is that it excites you, challenges you, and pushes you to evolve. Purpose gives you a reason to say no to distractions and a reason to stay disciplined. And here's the twist. When you live with purpose, you stop obsessing over her interest level. You're too busy building. That shift in energy is exactly what flips the dynamic. Instead of you checking constantly whether she's paying attention, she begins to check whether she still has a place in your busy, driven life. That fear of losing relevance reignites her attraction. Living with purpose also sets the tone in the relationship. A woman feels safe and inspired with a man who has direction. She sees him as someone she can follow, someone who can provide stability, not just financially, but emotionally and mentally. That leadership doesn't come from begging for her interest. It comes from living a life that naturally commands it. Here's the bottom line. Your purpose is bigger than her. She's part of your life, not the whole of it. When she feels that balance, she respects you more. And respect is the soil where attraction grows strong roots. So stop waiting for her to define your worth. Build your life with purpose and let her rediscover her place in it. Regaining a woman's interest without begging comes down to how you carry yourself. Control your emotions, give her space, focus on growth, rebuild mystery, lead with confidence, limit validation, and above all, live with purpose. Each step shifts the balance back in your favor, not by forcing her to care, but by reminding her of the man she was drawn to in the first place. When you embody stoicism, calm, grounded, and unshaken, you become magnetic again. She feels your strength without you having to prove it. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and let her interest rise naturally as you rise yourself.